And we should be live going through Jordan Peterson's Understanding Myself, the personality assessment. I'm going to share my results. I'm going to share my thoughts about the process and give you some of my recommendations for if you should take this for the sake of right now it's $9.95 on the understandingmyself.com. And you can see here the results I got just as a quick sort of overview of what the process to get these results. And if you're not familiar with the whole concept of understanding myself, the idea is you go through a series of 100 questions, very similar to other personality tests you may or may not have taken. You will go through these statements and you will select how much you agree or disagree with these statements. And then, based on the answers that you provide, you will be sort of diagnosed or you will be rated in this case, the big five categories, of personality. So agreeableness, extroversion, conscientiousness, openness, neuroticism, sometimes referred to as ocean, right? Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. And in my humble opinion, this is a really effective, really useful personality test. And I'm going to share a couple things that I realized about myself in understanding myself that I think, while you might not have the same results as me, uh, will be maybe a useful perspective and frame for how to think about the value of a personality test, why they are useful in many cases, in terms of codifying and understanding yourself. But more importantly, not just understanding, right? But being able to create a strategy for mitigating the risks or the shortcomings that you might have as a result of some personality traits that you have, as well as maximizing the rewards of some of the personality traits that you have. Because every trait is a sort of double-edged sword uh, in a number of ways, as you're going to see here. So I'll go into my report and again, I highly recommend that you go through this. You could read about the Big Five scale here. Just explains what each of these mean, and the context that each category within the ocean framework sort of provides to you here. So let's start with, you could see my results here. Agreeableness. Agreeableness is just broadly as it says here, a complex trait with both positive and negative elements. I'm not going to go into this is what is this? A 38-page report. I read it earlier, of course, and gives you the big breakdown in the explanation of what each of these traits are. But you could see like where my personality falls in the agreeableness trait. So 90th percentile, and it explains if there were 100 people in a room, you would be higher in agreeableness than 90 of them and lower in agreeableness than 9 of them, right? So, and then it explains, like I said, what the trait is. The reason why I think this is valuable and I'm finding value in it is the number one, the reality is like, okay, I always had the sense that I was agreeable. But what this personality test does is it explains the drawbacks of that. Like for a long time, I only saw a silver lining to that being that, oh, I get along with people. I can make friends relatively easily. I connect with people. I'm, very compassionate. People are interested in the problems of other people. Um, and that is definitely true of me. The uh, flip side of that, though, as it says here, is like somebody who is agreeable is not generally good at negotiating for themselves because they, and I could absolutely relate to this, they see the other person's perspective. And that is, I will constantly negotiate against myself because I see the other person's perspective and agree with it. Big surprise there, right? So, when you know about these things, when you start to codify these traits that are largely biological, by the way. So that's an important thing to note here is that these aren't things that you will have learned in most cases. The big five personality traits are largely biological. That's my understanding. And so that's what I've read on that anyway, which means like you really, if you want to change things about these results, it's going to be very difficult. So, what is, I think, uh, a better way or a complementary way of dealing with whatever results you get is to create a strategy that, again, sort of maximizes your upside for the things that you're good at and minimizes your downside. Uh, Not necessarily changing yourself, just recognizing, oh, okay, I have an inclination to do X, Y because of my, here's a good example. Like I found out that in the conscientiousness, which is basically orderliness, industriousness, like how hard you work, and something else we're going to find here. So you can see here 72 conscientiousness, very well, not extremely low industriousness, but like this was a surprise to me. But then in hindsight, it made sense. So like I am now forming a strategy around low industriousness to improve that. Orderliness, relatively high in orderliness. I like things to be in order. I'm super extroverted, right? Or relatively extroverted. If you're not extroverted, uh, that's probably going to mean that you're going to have trouble making connections with people right out of the gate. And that's fine. It's just a matter of adjusting to your personality type. So, yeah, I wanted to go through this. I mean, not necessarily right to, I could give you all of what this means, but I just would highly recommend going through it yourself to see the what the personality types that you have are relative. So I'm like, this is kind of interesting. Like very low on negative emotion, uh, like low neuroticism, low. What is this? Low anticipatory anxiety. So that's kind of interesting. Low volatility. Oh, and then this was kind of interesting. Exceptionally high. And I should actually go into this because this will explain the reasoning behind the entire strategy idea, which is like in terms of developing a strategy meant to maximize reward and minimize pain and suffering, a good strategy will take advantage of the areas in which you are extreme, right? Extremely different. So, and it doesn't have to be openness. Like I happen to be openness, which means dimensions of creativity, art, uh, verbal, uh, verbal intelligence, right? Interest in novelty art, like all of these things are true. Abstract thinking, philosophy, sensitivity to aesthetics. So, like, this is like kind of a watershed moment where it's, oh, of course I should be doubling down on this and pursuing the things that I'm actually interested in, right? Aesthetics, ideas, so on and so forth. And conversely, if you were let's say, like a really neurotic person, like general sensitivity to negative emotions, you might be a really good social worker or something like that. Like you might be really good at, um, or I don't know, like caring for sick people because right, I don't know, be, but the idea being that you can create a strategy around your traits here. So yeah, I like this. I think it's helpful to have a clear perspective on the biological personality traits that you have inherited because of your genes. And it, I think, is useful for operating in the world. And I wanted to share that. I think this was, I would say, if I had to rate this against any other personality test I've done, and I've done a couple. I've done like the couple of Myers Briggs. I've done Principles U by Ray Dalio. I've done other ones, DISC assessment many years ago, and I would say this. I feel it's partially because of where I'm at in my life. You know, 35 now, so you get a little bit more mature and I think have a better understanding of yourself through time. But this I would say is the best of them all in my opinion, and very useful information. So yeah, if you're on the fence about doing this thing, I strongly encourage you to give it a shot, and best of luck with it. Hope you do so. Cool. Let me know what if you do it and what results you get. I'm always curious to talk about this stuff. So cool. Peace.